Good morning, everyone. A special welcome to our primary audience, the Tshwane University of Technology. And welcome to our talk today, which forms part of the Changing Hearts and Minds, Exploring Environmental Education in Africa series. Today, we're speaking about the goals of environmental education. I'm going to ask you something. How often do we see images like these in magazines and on social media? It's before and after images portraying the aesthetics of a goal. And admittedly, it is inspiring to see the outcome of an individual's working on their health. But let's take a deep look into some of the unseen benefits. A healthy lifestyle would lead to increased energy levels, better sleep, and improved overall health. These are just some of those benefits. Now, this is especially for the Tshwane University of Technology students. In a similar fashion, you may think that as students, the end goal is graduation, right? This is not the case. The goal of environmental education is to help children of all ages become environmentally aware, skilled, knowledgeable, and dedicated citizens who are committed to work, defend, improve, and sustain the quality of the environment on behalf of the present and future generations. This does not happen when you graduate. This is what's happening right now. So when Dr. Ogilvy asks you to attend class, it is not only so that you can pass and graduate. This is one of the reasons, but it is also so that, like her, you already apply the knowledge you've learned and you live a life based on these fundamental beliefs. Now, these values are akin to the Sustainable Development Goals of the IUCN, in which you should want to already take climate action, fight poverty and hunger, and protect natural resources such as land and water. And in doing so, you will create a ripple effect. In the words of Donna Brazil, it takes but one person, one moment, one conviction to start a ripple of change. And our speakers today know all about turning ripples into waves. Phephile started off as a receptionist at the Deaf Federation of South Africa before completing a people and conservation internship at SANParks. She then went on to become a tour guide at Hoedspruit Endangered Species Center and is currently the assistant interpretative officer at SANParks. For her, environmental education is the key to encouraging all generations and to make a change. Our second speaker, Lewyn, joined Transfrontier Africa as a student doing her national diploma in nature conservation. She was honored the Cronje sponsor to study for the Fagasa field guide qualification, which she passed with 93%. In 2016, she started the Baby's Environmental Education Program with the aim to educate the local community about the tireless work being done by the law enforcement team, the Black Mambas, and the research team, Rhino Monitoring. And to date, she has educated over 1,000 learners, 400 mini bush babies, and 200 bush grannies. At present, Lewyn is project manager of Bush Babies Education Program. Welcome over to our first speaker, Phephile.
Thank you so much, Aisha. It's very nice to meet you guys, and I hope I'll be audible enough and you guys will be able to actually understand me as well. We'll begin our presentation just now. I just need to share my screen for a moment. Okay, so like I said, I'm working in the Kruger National Park, also in the Environmental Education Center that's in Letaba. But I would like you guys to also learn more about our Kruger Park, that there's actually 5 of our environmental education centers that are found throughout the park. We have one that's known as Brekanda, which you find it at close to Malelane Gate. We have the Skupuza one that's close to Paul Kruger Gate, as you guys can see on the picture over there. We have one in Satara that you find close to Open Gate, and of course us at Letaba that are much closer to Palawura Gate, and we have Punda Maria, which is close to Punda Maria Gate. So all these environmental education centers, their target is mainly the communities that are neighboring the national park. So we're giving an opportunity to the community groups, it can be schools, daycare centers, you name it. They come into the park as day visitors, free of charge, but with the condition that they attend a lesson at one of our environmental education centers. So this gives them more exposure of what's happening in the Kruger Park, and it helps them to kind of create much better relationships within the park and the communities as well. Hope that makes sense. All right. So looking into more detail, when the groups come here, they come with different interests, different ideas. They want to learn more about the environment. They want to learn more about human-wildlife conflicts. It depends on what they're looking for. So what we look at in Letaba is to basically engage and allow the kids to be more active and more relate to what's happening in the communities currently as well. And this game, known as Reserves and Neighbors, actually is a very good balance in that department as well. So we divide the group into teams, 2 teams. They build this puzzle together. They have to identify the animals, of course, in the pictures. Once the picture has been built, as you guys can see in the picture here, one side you see the communities, on the other side we also see the national park or the reserve that actually neighbors their home. So we then have to identify environmental problems that you see here. So the environmental problems, they can vary. It can be litter at the school, it can be erosion in their homes, it can be people doing deforestation, cutting down woods for keeping warm since it's very cold these days. We can also look inside of the national park where we have problems with people littering in the park. We also have problems of maybe overgrazing of species in the area, overpopulation as well. Then we have to discuss, okay, we've identified the problems, but how can we solve this? How can we actually make this much better than how it looks? So in community levels, they look at maybe doing environmental education at the school, or maybe having dustbins at the school. The kids discuss a variety of number solutions, but it also shows us that the kids are actually thinking for a much greener and much better future for themselves. So this game is actually quite crucial for them to actually understand much better about the relationship of parks and the communities as well. Also, a very interesting game that we play with the kids is this one known as the Till the Last Drop. With our groups, it's not only just tertiary levels, we also have primary schools. Like I said, daycare centers come here as well. We do interactive games with them. Like with this one, it involves 3 stations where they have to basically learn more about how to conserve water. So with this game, there's going to be a bucket that's full of water at the beginning and then empty bucket at the end. So you have a cup full of water, you get to station 1, you roll a dice, will tell you how many times are you going to be doing the specific challenge. So at the licky tap, you're going to be hopping with 1 leg whilst holding a cup of water. And if it's a 6, that means you're going to be hopping 6 times. When you get to the washing machine, this is where things get interesting because kids have to now swivel like washing machines, so to speak. So that also, again, you roll the dice, which tells you how many times are you going to be moving around like a micro washing machine. When you get to the shower station, you find a bottle that's been cut in half. It has holes in it just to indicate a shower. So you're going to roll the dice. It's going to give you maybe 4, 5 times. Then it's basically when you're chucking water into the bottle that has holes in it, you're going to be changing it 5 times. So that shows you 5 minutes in the shower or 5 hours in the shower, how much water you're wasting right there. So this is a very fun game, but it drives a message because it relates to things that you find not only at home, but even at school. Leaky taps are everywhere. You find it in the bathroom, you find it at home, you find it anywhere that you are. So if we can try to maybe fix a leaky tap, you're then reducing loss of water. When you're using a washing machine at home, why don't you try to collect that water, use it as gray water for your lawn, so to speak. Shower, maybe take shorter showers. We look at ways to much better conserve our water because as you guys can see what's happening in Gauteng, water is getting less and less, and we have to try our best to conserve it as much as we can for our future generation as well. I hope I'm still with you guys. Looking at the Kids in Parks program that we have in all our national parks, this is a very beneficial program for the disadvantaged communities that we have neighboring the Kruger Park or any national park out there. In the Kruger Park this year, we have the Kids in Park programs in Letaba. And this is a 3-day program that targets your grade 6 learners, so primary level. They are fully catered for. We take 30 learners and 2 educators that come to the Kruger National Park. Depending where they are, we're going to go collect them at school. Then we drop them off as well after their program. They'll do game drives, so they get to see the animals in the Kruger National Park, which is always fun for the kids. They get to see the species in real life as well. Like I said, it's in Letaba this year, so they have a chance to go visit the Masorini Heritage Site, which is where the Maefala group people used to stay. So they'll learn more about it when they go there as well. If they find themselves at Sotara, they can visit the Rabelos hut, where there's more history there as well. If they're in Skukuza, it's the Albacini ruins. If they're at Kunda Maria, they go see the Tulamela heritage site. So some of the activities the kids do, remember, is the first time in the Kruger Park. They have no idea where anything is. So they'll do orienteering course where they just basically walk around the camp to find out where everything is. So it allows them to get more exposure of where they are, not to get lost, of course, but in a fun way. All right, so it also helps them to learn more how to use your maps, how to actually navigate in any area they find themselves. There's a lot of environmental games. I'll show you guys with the pictures we're gonna go through as well just now. There'll be wildlife movies because everybody loves movies, and why not the kids as well. So just to show you guys from the pictures, when they're in Kunda, they go to Tulamela Heritage Site. That's basically where there's history about the Venda tribe that used to be found in the Kruger Park. So there's a lot of information that the kids can gather from the specific heritage site as well. Because remember, history is important for all of us as well. If they're in the tower, they visit the Masorini heritage site where they'll learn more about the Maefala Maboya people, so how they used to trade beads, glass beads. There's interesting stuff that you can actually see when you visit this heritage site as well. If they're in Skukuza, they'll go learn more about the founders of the Kruger National Park. As you guys can see, the three heads when you normally visit Skukuza. So there's more information on how the Kruger National Park actually came to be. And they also visit the Skukuza nursery. Remembering that we have communities close to the park, there's some community members that are interested in medicinal plants. So in the Kruger National Park, with the nursery that we have, we do propagate such medicinal plants. So we then teach the kids on how to do propagation or harvesting of seeds so that they can actually do that when they get back to their homes as well. They visit the Albacini ruins. This is basically how one of the Portuguese traders had a store, so to speak. There's also history, and there will be someone that can actually interpret the whole history of how he used to market the how he do trading with the communities close to the Papeni Gate, and how they actually were able to trade using the train that used to walk to be driven inside the Kruger Park. To end the day, of course, they'll be doing a game drive. Like I said, they'll have checklists. So there's like a form of documentation for the kids where they'll go identify the animal, check it out. Yes, I saw an impala, I saw a crocodile. They have something to indicate, okay, the game drive was fun and we saw the specific animal as well. So far, it's been quite interesting as well. Coming to the games. So when it comes to teaching kids, visualization is always best. When it comes to teaching kids about the environment, and the pictures that you guys can see there's a couple of tins. Those tins actually help us to make the ecological pyramid. So with this pyramid, we're basically looking at how biotic factors and abiotic factors come together, how we're all connected in our environment as well. So the kids get a much more better understanding of how energy flows from, let's say, from the sun, from the water, from the soil, how everything is connected to the herbivores, the carnivores, the omnivores, and how we all have a very crucial role in how to actually protect our species as well. But interesting enough, in the ecological pyramid, we are the one at the top, and some people say, yes, we're in control of everything. But it actually indicates that we have a responsibility for our whole environment as well. And as you guys can see there, the kids were having fun trying to figure out how to build this pyramid, but at the end of the day, they had a much better understanding of how every action they take does have either a negative or positive effect on the environment as well. Some of the water games that we also do with the kids relate to wetlands. So we use this water game where you guys see the kid with the pink black bucket there. There's a sponge on their heads. So they go to a bucket that's filled with water, put the sponge in the water, they collect the water to the empty bucket. So the idea here is to basically to save water as well, but to also understand how wetlands work. So remember, wetlands are like a form of a sponge. They absorb all the flood waters that we get. They help us with floods. They keep us safe. And it also helps with filtration as well. So with this game with the kids, they get a more close-up approach on how wetlands actually function. And of course, with kids, it becomes a competition that they actually end up forgetting that, hey, the idea is to save water. So there's a couple of water being lost on the way, unfortunately, as well. But it's quite an effective game with the kids, of course. When you see the kids flying in the sky, that's one of our games where we do for ice breaking, just to let them be more free, more calm, just welcome them to the Kruger Park or any national park. This is a game where we basically play between different habitats for animals. So you have land animals, you have water animals. So one side is for land, one side is for water. So when I say crocodile, they must travel to the side of where there's water. When I say a giraffe, they must be on the land side. So just to see their focus and understanding of what habitats are and where that animal is actually found as well, which is actually fun. We end the day with a wildlife movie, or we can do a night walk with the kids that you guys can see on the picture at the top as well. Looking at environmental calendar days, there's a lot of them. I'm sure if you guys actually Google them, every single day there's something special happening in our beautiful country or the world. But us in the tower, we've also looked at maybe connecting with the community schools and actually looking at a much better way to work with them and better understanding these environmental calendar days as well. So looking at one of them is Arbor Day. Everybody knows Arbor Day is about afforestation, planting trees. So like I said, we have the nursery in schools whereby they donate trees to us. And then we go to community schools, we plant the trees with the kids. It's so much fun because the kids get more hands on. They're more curious. What is this tree? What is the purpose? Why are we here? Why do they come with so many bags of trees? So Arbor Day is basically about planting trees and connecting with the community. So with the trees that we get from the schools and nursery, we can visit primary schools of various grades as well, where we actually take them outside and share with them and discuss with them what benefits do they get from the tree, what trees would they like to find in their schools, and what more would they like to gain from this lesson as well. So from the kids listening to the facilitator in terms of how to plant the tree and how to water the tree, they actually get a much better understanding of how crucial it is that whenever we down this plant, let's try to balance the ratio out, because at the end of the day, there's gonna be someone else who's gonna come again and cut down a specific tree. So Arbor Day is quite interesting as well. Some of our environmental calendar days that we have, one of the schools actually decided to go further, where they decided to incorporate art into their presentation for Arbor Day. So they decided to look at how nature could be beautiful in the form of art. So this is from a primary school known as Palawura Academy, where they decided to use litter. The top picture that you guys see was this Chabiso and Maefala. These are two grade 1 learners. They decided to take margarine buckets, use papers, roll them up, make it a trunk of a tree, and have a couple of leaves, as you guys can see on the picture there. So they also wrote quite interesting facts about trees benefiting us in terms of oxygen. They protect us from floods. So this is very creative for such kids at a very young foundation age, of course. Looking at a grade 6 learner, this is a beautiful picture that was done for one of the grade 6 learners, where they decided to demonstrate the beauty of nature in art. They showcase the flowers in the girl's hair. That actually, the hair is actually clouds, and the blue represents the water, and the brown that you guys see on the face actually represents the land. So it's an overall environment altogether. And one of the learners also decided to draw their own environment. It was quite a very interesting picture to see from the learners from the school as well. Coming to another environmental calendar day, we have World Wetlands Day. This is normally done in February. So some of our community schools are literally close to a river system or neighboring a wetland. So we can either do a classroom activity or we can take them to the specific wetland. If it's in the classroom, we can look at maybe doing a wetland experiment, like using a model that shows the filtration system of a wetland. Or if we go to the wetland itself, then we can look at the species that you find, the microorganisms that you find in the specific river system. So using minisets, for example. And it's quite interactive because the kids get to have a much better understanding of how crucial it is not to pollute the water systems as well. All right. So coming to World Environment Day, in our country, we've been looking a lot at plastic pollution. So litter is a massive problem all around us. It's pretty much a very terrible problem. It looks like flowers sometimes. So we decided in 2018 to look at reusing all this plastic that's being kind of chucked out all around us. So we decided to make this interesting World Environment Day banners, also at this mural of a rhino, just to showcase that in the future, this is the future that we may find our animals living in, surrounded by litter. One of the schools decided to even do a mural about how our world will become a world only covered by litter. As you guys can see, the mountain made out of, that's a textbook cardboard, the sun made out of the yellow caps, and the water system made out of checkers, Pick and Pay plastic bags. So it just demonstrates how litter is a very big problem in our communities. One of our high schools did a much bigger project where they decided to look at maybe reusing plastic bottles, for example, repurposing them for something positive. So since we have a lot of water bottles in conferences, at school, you name it, we decided to take the water bottles and make dustbins out of them. So we use 500 mils for our dustbin, but the kids at the kids from the high school decided to use 2-liter bottles, where they basically made them much bigger, so big drums that would be found throughout the school. And another group of the kids decided to use tins as well, because that was another big problem they found in their community. So now they're looking at how to maybe recycle even paper. So even though the project started just to focus on plastic, they ended up looking much further. It was not only plastic that's affecting their community, there's also tins, there's also paper. How can we resolve it? How can we send the message through to say that our environment needs help? So this is one of the most effective ways that we've seen happening in our communities. And we're looking forward to also engaging with other schools to really partake in such making resources from waste, so to speak. So just to sum it up, environmental education within National Park has created a platform for a variety of groups. I'm talking about your communities, your schools, your tertiaries, it can be local, international, where they can visit us and actually learn more. We have a much better way of sharing to share better understanding and appreciation for our park and to actually understand what we are here for. I want to ensure heritage is part of our cultural heritage. This is what we're trying to drive through for our communities to actually have a much better appreciation for the Kruger National Park as well. And one thing is for sure, we are all connected through nature. Thank you, guys. I think I just came to the end of my presentation. I hope I didn't mumble too much and you guys were actually able to understand it as well. But I look forward to answering your questions just after Lewyn's presentation.
Hi, everybody. I'm just going to show myself for just 2 seconds. And then I'm just going to close off my video. Hi. Hope everybody can see me now. I'm switching it off because my network is not stable. So, hi. My name is Lewyn Maefala, and I'm going to tell you guys about the Bush Babies Environmental Education Program, where we are creating the platform for locals to grow and mature in nature. So where did it all start? It's not going. Where did it all start? It started at I've just been flying. So I'm the founder of the Bush Babies Environmental Education Program. I'm originally from Pretoria North, which is 500 kilometers from where I am currently. I have a national diploma in nature conservation. I'm the Black Mamba Anti-Poaching Unit Environmental Education Officer, educator and program coordinator and manager. And I'm also the Scouts group leader. So my pictures here are actually showing how through education, one is able to change their mindset. So if you're asking yourself, does environmental education work? The answer is yes. Believe it or not, I'm so much scared of spiders, but look at me here, holding it through the program or through the education, where you ask yourself, does it really work? So what or who is the Bush Babies? The Bush Babies is an environmental education program where we're engaging with locals from the communities. And that is a picture of a bush baby. I'm not saying the kids are little monkeys, but just look how attentive this little monkey is. It's a baby, or my kids are babies that are learning about the bush. Attentive. We want to give them the right information, and we anticipating that they will absorb everything that you're teaching them, you know. And the eyes of the bush babies, when it goes so wide, is when the kids are getting the right information, you know, they should grasp and hold it all in. Our model is very simple. We had the rhino as our main focus because of the rise in the poaching. So we use that as our main animal species, where we're looking at its environment. Say, for example, we've won the poaching, but still the rhino would still be a threat because the water is polluted, the soils are just eroded, you know, the trees are chopped down for firewood. So that's why we started with the Bush Babies program, where we are now doing these environmental lessons at the 10 primary schools, and we're bringing the Black Mamba Anti-Poaching Unit to talk to the kids. And you know, when they leave and they go home, these kids, they now say, oh, there were soldiers at school today. And as a parent, you want to know, why were soldiers at your school? Only to find out that no, they were teaching us about the conservation and preservation of our rhino species. If you look at the picture at the bottom, this was drawn by a grade 5 learner who, I've never seen this on TV. I've never seen it on a magazine, so I'm not quite sure where this child has seen this, but it gives you an idea of what it is that you're dealing with within your communities. So the communities that we are working with, oh, my thing is a bit slow. Okay. The communities that we're working with, no, we're not, is within the Bapalagora local municipality. I've got Belili Nature Reserve there. That is where our base is. And you can see the Kruger National Park up north. And then we've got the communities where we're operating in within the Palagora municipality. Palagora is rich in natural heritage. You know, you've got wildlife, you've got the Kruger Parks and nature reserves on the tribal lands. We are very fortunate to have the Mopani worms. We've got the chiefs or the tribal council and authorities here. So everything gets, you know, sorted out at a community level. We've got the marulas that makes the fruits and beer and everything, beauty products. You can make it jams, juice, everything is being harvested here. So you can see Palabora is very rich in you know, in terms of finances, and that is benefit from the environment. We also have our mines. This is the PMC mine that you can see from space. That's how big that open pit is. So yeah, we've got a very rich, what can I say, ecosystem environment that we all call home. So our stakeholders, or the Bush Babies program, aims to educate not just the little kids. I guess you will see and learn along the way how it progresses. These are our young kids, the mini Bush Babies, where their program basically is all about interaction, fun, sing and dance, learning, using their hands. You know, there's dancing, puppet shows, just to make them aware, but we bring it down to their level of, you know, how do we raise awareness? How can we get them involved into this learning? You know, puppets of rhinos, just so that they can link up with what it is. There's song and dance, everything with a form of conservation based. Then we've got the Bush Babies. Remember, those are the mini Bush Babies. So they are the youngest group that we've got. Then we get to the Bush Babies. Due to COVID, we started off with 10 schools, and during COVID, we had like 5 schools, and now we're back to 10 schools. We educate them on a weekly basis once, and we've got also our volunteers from Transfrontier Africa that would come and engage with our kids. Here there was a heritage day, and here she was trying out this Belani. Sometimes we take our classrooms outside because, you know, Palabora is so hot. We also do Arbor Days with the kids, planting of trees, and obviously exposing the kids to their fears. At the bottom right, we visited the reptile park in Hoedspruit. Our kids are assessed by writing exams or quarterly exams based on the theme of the lessons that were taught. And we are very much happy to see throughout the years that most of the kids have passed, which is in the orange and is not showing as compared to the blue. So we are getting what we are actually our objective. We also bring in experts to educate our kids on the work that they are doing. You can see here we've got Elephants Alive that joined us to educate the kids on elephants and bees. We've got Glenn, who's from Transfrontier Africa. He was educating the kids on pangolins. And the Black Mambas Anti-Poaching Unit, our sister program, they come and they share with the kids what it is that they're doing in the field, the trainings they go through, snares, what do they do when they come across snares in the field and in the communities, and what the kids should do in terms of if they know of a poacher. At the end of the term, once we've assessed the kids and they have passed, they get to come to this all expenses paid trip to camp in the riverbed. This riverbed last year was just flooded with water. So we had to move our camp up, but just look how beautiful that is. And not only do they just come here to experience this bush life, but, you know, just understanding that we need to conserve nature by starting with respecting the little ants. So that's, yeah, where we start to instill the knowledge of the kids. That's at Ektuleni. Other learners, they get to go to Struvik, or now we call it Kuru Camp, where before they even get to camp, they already have this once in a lifetime opportunity of being on a boat. So they get a boat transfer, they can learn and see wildlife in its natural heritage or habitat, where they're now learning about aquatic life and how these animals, like, you know, an elephant, you think, oh, an elephant is on land, but sometimes on hot days, you find it's just there in the water. Seeing such sightings, your wild dogs, klipspringers, you know, and just learning about these species in their natural habitat. We also aim to educate the kids on team building and teamwork, where they physical, you know, water conservation games. Learners cook for themselves. They prepare their own meals at camp, poiki night, you know, jumping around, just so that everybody is just a little bit tired at the end of the day, and they're able to just sleep so peacefully in their tents. And there, yeah, we went on game drive. Okay, so I guess now I won't be able to show my thingies. Yeah. What we also do is we upgrade the centers or the schools by giving them jungle gyms, repainting the centers with themes. The schools, this was a Madagascar theme, and then at the center we've got the Jungle Book theme going on. In each classroom that we paint and upgrade, there's a motivational quote that comes on. We also upgrade the classrooms, put in fans, ceilings, repainting the walls, and we've decided now to go a little bit solar just at our resource center. Not only do we do that, we also take our teachings to the street, where we march for rhinos and elephants and pangolins. All the kids that are involved in our program, we engage with all the schools and say, today is the day. And as we walking and singing along, you know, you've got local people peeking through the fences like, oh, what is going on there in the street? What is this commotion? And only to find out that it's kids and all these animal species. So basically that's what's happening with our kids moving around. My internet is unstable. Okay. Next, we've got our Scouts program. So the kids, we identified that the kids, yes, they come to the program, and then after grade 7, they move on, and then we don't have access to these kids anymore. So how are we going to keep these kids engaged and involved in the program? That's when we started with the Scouts program. We're working currently with Keep the Dream 196. It's in Zanin, and they have been such a great help in enabling us to do the work that we are doing. So we can see there on the top right, the meerkats. That's their little sign. Now the meerkats, they are 5-6 years old. And then we've got the cubs, which is second middle, where they're doing the insect hunting, looking at insects and the morphology of it. And we've got the Scouts that have 10 laws that they live by. A Scout's honest to be trusted. A Scout is loyal, useful, you're a friend. You are polite and you're a friend to animals. You obey orders, you smile and whistle under all difficulties. You're thrifty and clean. These laws and all the promises of the kids, they enable us to get to that sense of, you know, especially Scout law number 6, which is a friend to animals, that you don't kill animals. Even if it's a snake, the kids won't kill it, but they will call you to come and assist. And basic skills, like here they're doing the knots, and kids. And remember, for all of these activities that these kids are doing, they get a badge for it to show that, okay, XYZ was done. And we can see that the meerkats, they were learning how to make a fruit salad that goes into eating healthy. They get the badge for that. And one of our staff members, Permission, was trying out the filter system of cleaning water for her cubs. Then we get to the matriarchs of our communities, the bush grannies. Just like the elephants, the bush grannies are so dear to us. I think this is one of the projects that is very much I'm very fond of. You know, education is not just for the little ones, but you get to learn so much from the grannies, and now we also have the grandfathers. Their information is very much crucial. They're giving out that indigenous knowledge, they're sharing it with us. But we say, well, let's also get them out into the park. Let's see what it is that they know. We've discovered that they have a lot of knowledge regarding the plant species. But then when it comes to animals, it's mostly myths and understandings and their beliefs, which we try and say, okay, now scientifically, this is what is happening. We engage there, Sandra, with the granny there doing stretches. You know, the grandmothers have given us such a positive feedback that, you know, since you guys have been coming, we already know that like on Tuesday, I definitely have to be home. Now I don't need to stress myself so much. So again, conservation, education, you get yourself, especially in the environmental sector, becoming even a social worker, you know, and the social responsibility that is there. We've got the granny there showing us at Masurini how it's been done, how they used to that again Hushila, the maize meal. And there Portia looking at how they used to smelt the copper there at the mine, not at the mines, at Masurini there, as Phephile has explained. We also have there the bush grannies on game drives, working in the little gardens. So each granny is given seeds of saying, okay, granny, this keeps you busy now. Let's go to the garden. And the grannies also come to the center to engage with the kids and teaching them ways of teaching something. Say this week we decide, okay, we want to know how do they make peanut butter. Then Granny comes and then teaches the kids how to do peanut butter. Here, Granny was showing the kids how to make the morojo. Then the grannies also come. We've got another program called the Bush Grannies and Granddaughters, and they get to go to Kuro Camp. Here the grannies educate the kids and they share information. We have an activity where we're separating the two groups, the young and the old. And then we try to gauge what is it that granny has taught you. The granny teaches that the elephant is going to kill you. And then we come together and engage and learn from each other with the understanding of granny knows better. You know, we might think the books are right, but the granny has lived for so long and has experienced it. Apart from that, the program just gives opportunity to grannies. It was her first time on a boat, and she just loved every moment. She's like, when are we coming again? And there our grannies are just on game drive. As part of our program, what we also do, we identify problems within our communities to increase the knowledge of the people. We can't say, don't do this, but we can say, okay, this is what is happening, and how can we together come up with solutions? With our village patrol, the team goes out, they use an app called Avenza or Qfield, and now we're going to use Cluey, where they go around walking the communities, identifying environmental problems. And with these problems, we have managed to come up with 2 solutions, I believe. Yeah, the first one is we write a report and we send the reports to the ndunas and the ward councillor, and the news have spread to go to the local municipality where they have seen and say, we need to do something here. And now we're seeing some changes in the communities. We're seeing the presence of skip bins where the locals can now throw their litter into the skip bins. One of the programs that I really liked from this, or a solution to this, was to partner with K2C, where they did this cook stove distributions. So because a whole lot of people were chopping the trees for firewood, we can't stop them. Otherwise, how else are they to make their own food? But then through the cook stove initiative, we're able to minimize the fuel load to cook a meal. Another advantage, as you can see, we are indoors, so you can actually use the stove inside a household. And we've distributed more than 3,000 in our communities, right? We've distributed more than 3,000 cook stoves. So that's like 1,000 households in a village, in each village that we are from. They have done more, but just on the bush baby side of things, they're the people were the recipients of it. One other thing that we also do is we try and do bush clearing. Obvious, when people see you doing it, they're able to see that, okay, this is a problem. This needs to be removed. So here on the left, you can see the infestation of the morning glory plant. To the right, if you can just look at the households, the roofs, the two roofs of the house, I think it'll give you a better understanding of this, the issue that we were dealing with. And this is done by teams. Local members come and pop in and say, okay, what is happening here? Oh, you're removing that. Oh, yes. Thank you so much. And we even got recognition from the ward councillor saying, thank you guys so much for removing this. We should join you guys on the next one. So basically just the removal of the plants. We also do river monitoring with the kids. Basically the scouts. They go to the river, which is not far from our resource center, where they get to see and monitored through the mini-SAS, looking at the quality of the water, and we have found out that the water quality is just bad. Obviously, because of this, as you've seen in the previous picture with the village patrol, all the litter and waste that goes in. If we don't educate the kids on this, if we can't change the mindset of the kids, tomorrow we'll be sitting with a very big problem. That's why we're engaging the Scouts kids. Another thing that we are doing by changing the behavior and understanding is to engage the local people. You'll see that you've got some local community members there. Some are wearing Bush Babies shirts. Some are not even working for the Bush Babies program. We even have the tribal people that are coming to assist us on the snake sweeps, where we're removing these illegal indiscriminatory wires in the bush that just go for anything. So here we had partnered with Palabora Natural Heritage Foundation on the snare sweeps in the northern side of the communities where we were looking at these snares. And we also do snare sweeps with our sister project, the Black Mamba Anti-Poaching Unit. So here we've got, what we also do is clean up campaigns at the schools with their kids in the community, also with the kids and Scouts. And there you can see perfectly community members doing it. This was not with us, but once you set the standard, then people can see and say, oh yeah, no, this is something that is possible and we also can do it. And what we also do is we do with the litter, the kids would then have to go home, create an outfit that they can wear and make an outfit out of it. And they get assessed obviously for this. Okay, now that picture I want is not going to come through. There it is. Okay, so this one is an example, a typical example of hard work that was included in it. She's got her lashes on, she's got her beautiful plastic dress for an assessment that they were also doing, which counts also towards their marks. But then we also have, oh no. Oh, no. Okay, no, it's not going to show. I wanted to show the other lady. She decided she was going to have oh, there she is. She decided that nope, she's not doing the litter. She rather wear flowers in her head, which also show the connection with nature. Even though we're seeing the bad and the ugly in everything, or she decided to just see the beauty of it. And she's our program is food security. This initiative started with COVID when we saw that, a lot of people are going hungry, but the environment can give back to us. So why not engage in the bush and or in the vegetable gardens? So we've got here Maggie, who was harvesting from our garden, and the kids, they're harvesting also from their school garden. What we do is we provide the seeds. Everything they get goes home. At the center, everything that we have planted and grown gets food. So if we're eating carrots this week, everybody has carrots in their meals, or there's spinach this week, or there's something. But everything, all the kids' hard work goes back into their own stomachs. And we've also identified households that are really, really, really struggling. So they would also be the beneficiaries of those vegetable gardens. Another thing that we are doing, yay, this one dear to my heart, is to educate the locals within our animal welfare initiative. You can see there, it's dogs, it's donkeys, it's chickens, everything, everything just comes into one. You can see there, I'm not a vet, yes, but then when somebody comes in with a donkey, you know, it's covered in full fur, we cut it, we help it. And as you can see there on the left, some of the donkey's ears are cut for identification purposes. How, we don't know. We are dealing with a crisis now that there aren't any water sources, or they don't have water in the taps in one of our villages, Maseke. The donkeys are working extra hard. So it was important for us to monitor the donkeys and see that how is it that we can enable or educate the locals to do, you know, something better. So we partnered again with the experts. We brought in SPCA to come and educate the people on looking after how to look after their donkey. Rete Dasnas Horon, one of our funders, they sponsor or they pay for our vet at the bottom left, Dr. Peter Rogers, who comes out to check out on the donkeys. Are the donkeys okay, the condition? And the donkeys, each donkey got a harness on the day. So you look after your donkey, we give you a harness, and we're seeing if there is some improvement on the condition of the donkeys, which there has been. And not only do we do that, if you can see on the top right, the locals don't just bring an injured donkey and say, here's the injured donkey. Of these donkeys of theirs. And right there you have it, a donkey smile. And you know, at the end of the day, if it's all you're getting a donkey smile, so be it. We also undergo training, because obviously we want to create these new ambassadors in the communities. We need the proper training. As you saw there, I'm a SGL, I'm a Scouts group leader, and here I did my warrant. And in June, I'm going for my wood badge, which is another level of scouting. Here we get the training before we can obviously train our learners on how scouting works. We do first aid trainings, bush walks in the bush, in a Big Five area. How do you track animals? So all that knowledge is instilled into the local community members. Remember, we employ the youth, and this youth, the information and training that they get, they need to now pass on to the other kids in the community, other adults, you know, either the bush grannies or whoever, how to extinguish a fire using a fire extinguisher, how to stop a bleed. Grasses, which grass species do we need? You know, can we rotate? Can we do crop rotations in the villages? All of that information they get to learn it, and they get to share it as well. I just didn't take a picture here, but also with the tribal authorities, the ladies that are working there and the gentlemen, they also join in on our first aid training, so that they're able to aid somebody in case of an emergency. Then we get to show and give exposure to the kids and the local people through our excursions. Where was a child? Check out how small that little baby is, but she's seeing her first rhino sighting, you know, and they get to go to the HESC to learn about rhinos, game drives, bushwalks. Everything is just included so that these kids are exposed. And you know, once they get this exposure, when they go back home, they're able to share. We also visit the Kruger National Park, where kids can learn, especially on the programs that Phephile has touched on, so I'm just going to fly through. We also do the tree walk on Masorini, where I educate and walk with the kids in the field, educating them. You know, it's a Big Five area, and you come across elephant dung, elephant damage, all these tracks and signs. It's just so much work. And it's not just the local kids. You've got here guests that are visiting Masorini that also join in on the walk. Hey, then we go to Hoedspruit Elephant Rehabilitation and Development Center. If you can look at this young girl, she is so scared of touching the elephant to her getting a little bit comfortable because now there's somebody else there with her, to this. This is what we are talking about at the end of the program, that level of behavioral change. You know, the more these kids are involved and familiar with this wildlife, more they see it, the more they respect it, the more they will love it. So that's where it gets to at the end of the day. Elephants are my favorite animal, guys. Don't worry. We get to do here, it was in 2015 or 16, I think, I can't remember very well. We were with Wild Shots. Mike Kendrick, he's the one at the bottom right. He's the founder of Wild Shots. So what his organization does is they teach young kids, community kids, how to use digital cameras. So here, through Elephants Alive, they were coloring these elephants. There were no journalists. My bush babies were journalists for the day. And they had to use their cameras, take these beautiful pictures. And Vuhlari at the top, he's standing there with Philip Collins, I think. That's not a musician. And Colin Bell, Colin Bell. And Colin Bell used Vuhlari's picture in his book. So Vuhlari had to come and sign. He was giving autographs of this. So now he's got this very sentimental thing. Tell me, how can he not be in love with conservation when he now has his picture of a wild animal taken and it's got all his names and credits in it? Tell me, Wena, how does that not work? And then we've got here Lekhanolo Msoma, one of also our golden learners. She was you know, these kids, how they are named. Like I said, when you're in conservation, you're going to be a social worker, you're going to be everything all together. Yeah, you're going to be all in one, where the kids come to your place and they're seeing other researchers and doing whatever. So here, Lekhanolo was working on the why there are fewer marula seedlings in the field, like in her community. And she went out and she discovered together that, like in the community, like in the protected areas, the rodents are eating away the seedlings. This was with the assistance from the Western Kentucky University. Chris was also our the guy we were managing or working together with in assisting Little Honolo in observing this. And she was so successful that she went to represent South Africa in Los Angeles, and she came back with a tablet. After all, with all of that being said and done, our kids graduate. So you guys are not the only ones to graduate, but then yeah, our bush babies graduate, they become now nature's guardians, and from nature's guardians, they get involved in various programs within the landscape. So unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, it is not going to get better. It is not. You can see here, these are local kids in the communities. This was in KZN when we partnered with what is I forgot. Some people, some group. I met them through Peter Eastwood, the guy who owns Kura Camp, and they were doing the community work with their kids. And look, imagine, life jacket, that was even a first for me. So you can already imagine how these kids must be feeling to get the exposure to learn about this aquatic lives. So these are all my funders and supporters, which also includes you guys in the background. You can see there, majority of all the funders of the Bush Babies program are not South African. So it shows the kind of work or the impact of work that is happening there. But in a nutshell, guys, conservation environmental education is the way to go, because we are not doing this for us. We are doing it for future generations to come. Thank you.
All right, just to recap, guys, I think our last two speakers have done a wonderful job. Not only are they ex-TUT students, but what they've done in the last couple of years, they have made a huge difference in the future generation. Lewyn was talking about the goggles, all right? Why should we not work with the goggles and the grandfathers? They are the ones that the children are spending a lot of time with. So just to start off with, the goal of environmental education is crucial. And guys, you've done this in theory. And what Lewyn and Phephile did is they interlinked their programs into this goal so well. They said the goal of environmental education is to help children. Now remember, children of all ages, even the goggles and the grandfathers, okay, become environmentally aware, keyword, skilled, keyword, knowledgeable, keyword, dedicated citizens who are committed. Are we committed? Remember the 3 C's, concern. What's the next one? Caring and commitment, all right? To work, defend, improve, and sustain the quality of the environment on behalf of future and or present and future generations. Guys, we cannot just work with the youngsters. We have to start working with the elderly as well. Okay, Mariette, next. So we have got a number of objectives. And you know the 6 objectives well. These keywords keep popping up over and over. It was in both presentations this morning. We have to start making the community aware of the impact, of their impacts. What are they doing to the environment? They have to start gaining knowledge, all right? And it's not just the head, which is cognitive, not just the heart, which is affective, it's also psychomotor, which is hands. We have to start getting our communities involved with head, hands, and heart. Plus, we have to work with their attitudes, and that's difficult, changing a goggles attitude, all right? And I took note that you're also working with izindunas. They are the decision makers. And this is coming up stronger because if we don't work with the decision makers and start giving them knowledge and changing attitudes and teaching skills. And I took note that both the Bush Babies and Sam Parks are heavily into all so far 4 of those objectives of environmental education. They are teaching people so many different skills, not just the youth, but the elderly. Then, of course, all the programs that you saw today, there was active participation. Did you see that? Yes. The children were not just in a 4-walled classroom. They were educating in the classes as well as outdoors. They've got, Sandbox has got kids and parks. These children have got huge exposure to what Kruger National Park is doing. And it's also to do with their heritage. Then, of course, evaluation. You've got to know success or not success. Are your programs working? What age do they work for? All right, next slide. So to look at the sub-goals, the first one is perceptual awareness. Remember your programs, and you saw it happening with both programs today. The head, hands, and hearts are there, but perceptual awareness, the children were seeing things, they were feeling things, they were smelling things, and the goggles were even cooking things, all right? So all the sensory awareness is happening. Okay, carry on. So you can see even down at Tudumu, we do our toys with the rhinos. There, we've got students being very hands-on with grasses and falling in love with a simple thing like a tree. A tree is not just wood. It's not just sticks. It's not just, it is life. It's something living. It gives us oxygen. And we got to start getting people to appreciate things like a tree. All right, next. And then, of course, the knowledge is the second sub-goal. And remember, head, hands, and heart. All right? If your head is not in it and you don't have the knowledge, you cannot make any difference. But if you put your heart and hands into it, you can really start not just making a scratch, but making a dent. And that's what we want to do. We don't just want to make a scratch, guys. We want a difference. Okay, next. So as you can see, whether you make use, and it came up a few times, puppets really do work. And being hands-on, the knowledge is there, and falling in love with a simple mascot like Mandla. getting children to start to love animals and to start to love spiders and snakes. And I know we've got a snake specialist online today, and even scorpions. All right. We cannot just kill, guys, they make a huge difference. And then the third sub-goal is to help learners develop environmental ethics. We are not touching enough on this, which means we've got to teach children, adults of all ages, okay, to act to defend, improve, and sustain the quality of the environment. So whether you're out there making your trash and show and doing cleanup operations, to planting trees in Arbor Week, or doing a toy and trying to educate people about the importance of rhinos, or to stop poaching, all right, we have to start to act to defend, improve, and sustain. The next one, Mariette. And the last sub-goal is action skills and action experiences. So we want people to start to investigate. We want them to identify. We want them to take action towards the prevention and resolution of various environmental issues, whether it's poaching, whether it's litter, whether it's deforestation, whether it's washing in rivers. This has come up so strongly in all the programs today that you've heard. So guys, all what I can say is, if we don't identify, investigate, and take action, we are lost. All right, because it's coupled with the 3 H's, head, hands, and heart. Put your head into your studies now, guys. Get that knowledge. You want the learners to get that knowledge. And then, of course, heart. I know your heart is in it because I've seen it. All right? Is your heart in it? Is your heart in it? Guys, do you love what you are studying? Yes. Because if you don't, you leave it for others. Okay? And of course, get hands-on. And finally, the last slide. Nothing is impossible. The word itself says, I am possible. Guys, believe in yourself. I was hard on you guys yesterday. Am I right? Did you hear my verbal note? Did it scare you? Because I believe in you guys. All right? And I know you guys are going to make a difference. So I will keep being hard on you, and I need you to be hard on me. Because if I'm not coming to the party, then you are not going to learn. If share screen's not coming to the party, you are not going to learn. And you had the 2 most amazing guest speakers on today, and they have come to the party. All right, they have made it possible. They are teaching the future generation to make a difference. And I would like to thank both our guest speakers today. Thank you very much. Thank you. And I'm very proud of you because you are also part of our product. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. That was very inspiring. So I think we've got a good number of people in the class today, and I hope all of you TUT students, I can see you clearly in the video there. Put your hand up if you really think you have a future in environmental education because you believe there's people whose hearts and minds you can change. And wave your hands. Thank you very much, class. Thank you. That was amazing. So we have a lot of comments. Both presentations have had many comments about how inspiring they are, how well done the work is, how integrated the work is, and a couple of contacts that we will share. Louise suggests that her donkey sanctuary could do a health and welfare work with the bush babies. So Marette will connect you all afterwards. But let's start with a question. So TUT students, I want you to ask your questions and I want you to say which speaker you want to answer them. So start with the speaker first. So let's say you want Lewyn to answer, then ask your question. Okay, so over to you, Cheryl.
Okay, they're going to have to just squeeze in between this little gap. They're on their way.
That's okay, we can see. So remember the name of the person you want to answer your question first. And if you want both of them, you can say both speakers.
Good morning. I am Bamaketi from TUT Pika. I wanted to know if the programs are once off or do they do them more than once? And if so, the programs that they offer at the schools, do they select the kids according to the grades or ages? Or maybe each and everyone is supposed to be doing or participating in the programs?
So Phephile, maybe you could answer that one first and then we'll come to you, Lewyn.
Okay, with the programs, when we at schools, we don't really pre-select the kids that are there. We go to a specific grade that we've been invited to. We then decide to participate with all the kids all together at once. So we don't really subdivide them all together. We basically try to cover the whole school. And most of our topics or programs that we do with our community schools are ongoing. So what we start this year, we're looking how to continue that forward on the following year as well. But we make sure that we cover every single learner that's within the school. So once the kid is in grade 4, once they get to grade 5, we continue from there. We make it like a life, for as long as they're in primary or high school and that's the school we're working in, we make sure that we continue with them through environmental education as well. I hope that makes sense.
Yep, that made good sense. Lewyn, over to you.
From our side, what we do with the kids is we deal strictly with grade 7 learners. So once they are done with the grade 7, then they move over to grade 8, and then we've got a new group of kids. That's why we started the Nature's Guardians, and the Scouts program is for kids so that they join those groups when they're done with school. In terms of campings and excursions wise, the kids, because they are assessed, they write a little exam and they get, like, if you get 70% and higher, that is when you get to be selected to go on these excursions. We've got to date more than 2,000 learners on the Bush Babies program. We've got 10 schools, 20 classrooms. So you can get the idea of how many kids there are. So when you pass your tests, remember our program is free of charge to the kids. They don't pay anything. Everything is paid for. All you need to do is pass. And it works very good because it encourages the kids to work harder. Say if you're in grade 5, now you want to go to camp, you're going to have to work harder in grade 7.
All right, thank you. We got the next student. Give your name.
Hello, ma'am. I'm Palana Sinsu from TUT, and I have a question for Lewyn. How does the Bush Baby program only happen at Phalaborwa, and why does it exclude the high school learners?
Okay, so we are, yes, it's in Phalaborwa only. We're looking at expanding, but it becomes impossible unless you guys can graduate and come and work for the Bush Babies program. Then we can expand to your locations. We're dealing with primary kids because it's much better. However, like I've said, when we based with the primary school, when we done they progress to high school, we have programs for high school learners that would come. Remember, as a grade 7, you went camping, and now you progress to grade 8. We are not going to take you for the same camping, but you can participate in other activities like the Scouts program, which we have seen a positive impact or increasement on the number of Scouts that are older, like your older kids in high school that are participating in the program. Yes, that's
Thank you.
Yeah, so just to let everyone here know, I can see TUT have a delay. That's why I'm holding back. So it takes about 3 seconds for your voice to end over there while we think there's silence. So that's why there's a bit of a delay. Cheryl, any more questions? Plenty, I hope.
Good morning, ma'am. I'm Pascal. I'm from TUT. I want to ask about the chances of, I want to speak with Miss Lewyn. So I want to know about the chances of working with her when doing my will. And what are the chances of working and knowing about the Black Mambas?
Sure, those are two questions, my darling. Working with us, it's not mission impossible. It's very much possible, especially as a student. So 100%, all our details are there. You can check us in. And then Craig Spencer is very much fond of Will students, gives opportunities like he gave me. So you're more than welcome. When I just make sure you get good marks and a good recommendation from Dr. Ogilvy, then I should think you should be good to go. And once you're in, you can just decide which stream you want to follow, because remember, we are in conservation. So it's not just education, there's law enforcement, there's research, and all other aspects that you can fall under.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, darling.
Somebody's taller than me.
Hello, you all. My name is Tikorate Tole. Thank you so much for the mind-blowing ideas that you have invested in the preference. I have a question for Phephile. How do you evaluate the success of your preference? You make use of the evaluation techniques or questionnaires?
Fair question. How do we evaluate? That's a good question. It could be through questionnaires, it could be through visual results, it could be doing follow-ups with the school. What we're currently doing is doing follow-up programs with the school. So once we did a project the year before, we go check on how the progress has. There been any changes? It's still the same thing. So follow-ups have been quite a good response on how to check if the kids actually understood what we were trying to teach them, or do we have to go back to the drawing board again? But yeah, I think sometimes you have to repeat yourself, but I must say questionnaires, evaluations are quite useful, but we are more focused on actually seeing behavioral change, or seeing if there's more questions. If they would like us to continue further on the specific project, then we know, okay, things are still going the right path. Did that answer you?
Just before your next student there, Cheryl, I'm just going to ask one question that's in the chat. Salo had an amazing presentation. She really enjoyed it. She wanted to know, are you working with any schools for disabled learners? And is this something that you might be doing in the future? So I guess, Lewyn, you're unmuted, so you can go first, and then Phephile.
Yeah, it's possible. We've tried working with in Tabiseng here in Palabora. It works well, but you need to now look at what are you hoping to get out? What is your objective? So the Mini Bush Babies program worked very well with the kids, where you're not really expecting, like how can we fight the poaching? But hands-on activities of, we drew an elephant together and we colored in the elephant. Just the beauty of, I drew that elephant. So that knowledge of a beautiful elephant, that's what we do. But if you're looking for evaluating it at the end of the day, no, it's not going to work. But yes, we do work with them.
Phephile?
So just to double check with the question, it was more to reference to people with disabilities, am I right?
It was just, are you working with any schools that have disabled students? Or is this something that you would do, and how?
Okay. How can I put it? Yes, we have worked a couple of times with schools where there were these kids with a bit of disabilities. I think during my internship years, I actually even invited a school of deaf kids to actually come see the Kruger National Park, and it was quite interesting for them to see how big an elephant is. Was on TV, it's quite small. So we do get a couple of few learners that have disabilities, and we have to sort of accommodate them during our programs as well, so that they can actually participate in the program as well and don't feel left out as well. But it's not, I won't say it's a massive number, maybe 20% of our program covers such criteria as well. Hope that makes sense.
Thank you very much. Cheryl, back to your class there.
Okay, you're starting to get to know Colin, eh? Hey, Musa.
First things first, I just wanted to thank Ms. Phephile and Ms. Lewyn for the exceptional talks. Very informative, very educational. And then my question is directed to Ms. Phephile. I wanted to ask if do the Black members actually teach the kids about big issues like poaching? Lewyn. Oh, sorry, Lewyn.
Yes. Yes, they do. And remember the Black Mamba anti-poaching unit ladies, they're from the local communities. So it's basically a local community member telling another community member that we need to preserve this. Remember on my talk, I did mention that the reason why we are here in Palabora is because Belili is on the tribal lands. So these are community-owned lands with wildlife roaming there. So the Mambas, they are from these communities and they come and educate the locals on the preservation of these species because it's on their land.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hello. Hi, I'm Portia. I'm Portia Maboya. Louder. Louder. Okay. Hi, I'm Portia Maboya from TT doing nature conservation. My question is based on both organisms. Organizations, I mean. So my question is, how many sections do you have per year? And do you link them in the school curriculum?
And this is addressed to both.
Lewyn, you're already unmuted. You can go first.
Yes, our program, Portia, is interlinked with the school curriculum. Grade 7, grade 7 curriculum, that's the one that we're using. We incorporate the program with that. So in term 1, it's environment, where we're teaching them also about biotic, abiotic factors, adaptations. So all those aspects are included in there. What was the second question?
The second question, the first question was, how many sections do we have per year?
Oh, we visit the schools. Remember, we've got 10 schools, 20 classrooms. We visit each classroom once a week. So in a month, we visit them 4 times. You can times it by 10 because the school holidays. So plus minus 40 sessions.
Okay, thank you.
So you're saying each child gets 40 sessions of in your program?
Yes, they do.
All right,
That's
thank you.
phenomenal. Phephile, do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, I had to do a double take on the question there. In terms of the programs, yes, with the community schools, it depends, it varies. Sometimes we go once a year, sometimes it's repeated, depending on what the need or what do we have to focus on or help the school with based on the curriculum as well. So yes, most of our programs that we do at school, we have to make sure that they are linked into CAPS so that we don't overwhelm the kids with the information that we're sharing with them as well.
Beautiful. Right, back over to you, TT.
Hi, sorry, thank you so much for the presentation. I've noticed that there's been a trend that majority of the people that are connected to environmental education, they tend to be of the female. They tend to be female. Is there a particular reason why men don't get involved?
Can I go for it? Can I try first?
Go for it.
I guess because we are generally mothers, the maternal instincts obviously kick in, whereby, like I'm saying, you would now go and do environmental education, and then it's just education, whereby within the female point of view, now you change, you become a social worker, a psychologist, you become an all-in-one. People can call you at 12 o'clock in the morning, and it's got nothing to do with work, but somebody saw a snake somewhere, and they can rely on you. I think that's also one of the methods or thinking, I don't know, of my boss, Craig Spencer, with this anti-poaching unit. Women, we very much secretive and we get things done. I think that's the reason why But for me, genuinely, I think it's just that maternal instinct. We do it best. You know, if a child falls, the child would obviously run to you, I'm hurt, and you are able to give that care. I think that's why we've got that patience for kids. And of course, the love.
Okay. Awesome, thank you.
Wait,
Okay.
Phephile to answer.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not really all the girls. Even the guys can do this. You know, you just, like I said, like Obi always says, you gotta have the passion. So if you got the passion for it, go for it. We'll hope to see you soon.
And I can name some incredibly inspirational male environmental educators, and there are plenty out there. I just think we had two today who spoke and they were not male.
My name is Babalumukine, and I'm curious as to how often do both speakers like go back to their community to take surveys and other data as to how effective is their programs are to the community.
Okay. Yeah, follow-ups, like I said, we do follow-ups. So we do visit our community groups as much as we can. But like I said, in the Kruger National Park, we have the environmental education centers where they can also come to us. But it doesn't mean that we don't go to do follow-ups at that specific area as well. So it could be yearly, it could be monthly. It all depends on when they actually would like us to come see them as well. You're doing this, I'm not sure if it means that you can't hear me.
All right, that cuts out a little bit. Let's, yeah, I think it's our bandwidth that's a bit low.
Network is a bit off there. Why did I lose it, guys?
So Phephile, you go, how often do you go out to do surveys? If you can just repeat that.
For surveys, like I said, it all depends. They can call us whenever they would like us to come visit them. It can be yearly, can be monthly, can even be weekly. We do work closely with our community schools, but like I said, we do have the opportunity where they can also come visit us so that we can actually have a much better approach on how we can address the next follow-up program for them as well.
Thank you.
So is it not like part of your programs to go back and gather feedback?
It is. Everything that you do in environmental education, you have to go evaluate. You gotta have to investigate if what you're actually teaching the kids has an impact or you're just talking nonsense.
Okay, thanks.
Pleasure.
Lewyn, do you go back and gather data?
Yes, we do. I just did not mention there. I did mention I'm a project manager. I'm managing 7 local people that are working in the community. So I've got 2 people per village that are out there. So everything is happening. Say, for example, with the donkey one, the donkeys. If we treated your donkey today, next week when you're coming and we find your donkey, we're looking at photographs of saying, has there been an improvement on the injuries on the donkey, or are there more injuries now to this donkey? And if that is the case, then we need to sit down the person and say, okay, you know, we need to work on something. You get other people, stakeholders involved to assist this individual. School-wise, yes, we do assess, obviously using different teaching methods that we're using to educate the kids. And if a method didn't work, then we go back using a different method to teach that lesson. With the Scouts program, is it working, not working? We can see with the amount of badges that our kids are getting. So yeah, we are assessing. It's not a thing of we say, oh, now we need to assess. Or for example, another way of assessing is look at the one with removing the morning glory plant. After a month, we had to go and assess the location where we treated. Were there reinfestations, or do we need to reapply the methods? So there is different ways of assessing the different types of programs, and it's not time restricted. Sometimes it just happens naturally.
Thanks,
Okay,
Lewyn.
thank you.
That's great. So before we go back to the TUT classroom, I just want to deal with a question that's in the chat from Christelle about the WESA Eco Schools program. She wonders what your opinion.
Christy's hand is up.
Yep, I can see that, Cheryl. I'm just dealing with a question in the chat first. So Christelle has asked about the WESO Eco Schools program, and she wonders what you think about that.
Is it for me?
I'm not sure who it's for. I don't even know the program. Obviously, I'm based in Kenya, so it's totally new to me. So whoever knows it.
It's an amazing program. We've got Ledette that is working here. So when I did the environmental education, I didn't want to reinvent the wheel. So WESA, I'm well aware that it's Ledette is doing it with the schools. So yeah, amazing work that they're doing, but we are not doing WESA stuff because Ledette is doing it at the schools.
Beautiful, thank you. And then Kirsty, will ask you to unmute and then you can ask your question.
And it wasn't actually a question. I just wanted to follow up on something Phephile said in terms of Kruger. People need to also keep in mind Kruger is a huge area. So we've actually got multi-levels of staff working. So we do work in the communities. It's back to the initial, that question about going out into the communities. We've actually got colleagues known as SET officers who work very strongly in the communities, and we link with them when necessary. So our primary focus with the education is to actually bring people into environment more than it is about us going out. So while we do outreach, we do want to get learners into the bush rather than us constantly going into the classrooms. So I just wanted to add that on to what Phephile and Lewyn had said. So it's a slightly different setup. And as I say, we have got colleagues out there all the time who we link very closely with.
Perfect, thanks, Kirsty. That does make things clearer. Dr. Ogilvie, back to your classroom.
Okay, you got one last one.
Hi, my name is Nonkululego, and I'm here to thank the two ladies for the wonderful talk. You guys are both such an inspiration to us. We are coming for your jobs. Also, I have a question to Ms. Phephile about WIL 2024. What are the chances? Actually, like, do you know how many students you're going to be taking at the Letaba EE Center? Do you have a number? Okay, so like Kirsty said, the Kruger National Park is quite a big area. So there's people that are technically in charge of making sure we get a certain amount of WIL students coming to the park, but Kirsty can clarify this after me. Currently I'm working with 2 students from different universities as well, and they actually do come here. So like you said, you're coming for my job, I welcome you, come get this job. But yeah, when you, like, you can put in your application as well, so that you can actually be shortlisted once they do the interviews as well. But yeah, hopefully I will see more THE students next year for a change. Kirsty, you want to add something?
Yeah, I can do. Just to clarify, the Kruger Park takes up to 20 WIL students, and this is through all of the departments, so not just within environmental education. So we are going to hopefully be recruiting. We've worked very hard to get it back on track in terms of your academic years. So we're hopefully going to be on track in recruiting later this year. There is heavy competition. You're dealing with about 4 or 5 institutions now, as opposed to just in the old days of being 1 or 2. But yeah, if you're passionate enough, the opportunity is there. So keep in touch with your lecturers. They will know when the interviews will be taking place. In terms of Letaba, we take 2 WIL students per year. So competition is a little fierce.
And the chances of TUT students taking all of those 20 WIL opportunities in the Kruger National Park, how big a chance do we have?
I admire your grit, but no. We've got to remember something. We got a responsibility as an organization to our local communities, and the University of Mpumalanga does fall within our boundaries. So we do have a commitment to them, and we've got an agreement with them in terms of the number of positions. So you've got to keep that in mind. So you're probably fighting for about 50% of the positions that are available. But don't give up. The opportunities are there with the right influence and the right effort. Cheryl knows, she's smiling. She knows I'm on the phone to her every year. Don't worry.
And we've got enough passion here, Kirsty, that they're gonna rock your boat at the end of the year.
I hope so. I'm seeing some keen people.
Well, thank you very much. I think we will draw to a close there. Phephile and Lewyn, thank you very much indeed. They really were both inspirational presentations, and they will go up on YouTube in about a week's time. So thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you all. Bye.
Bye, guys.